listening to the EleAMental podcast.
Shut up!
I'm so over keeping secrets, the sacred things that make me human. I know I'm what you're looking for. Oh no 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 no, nevermore. La la la. Call me a big mouth, big mouth, big mouth.
Welcome to my mind. My name is Al Nichols, and you're listening to the EleAMental podcast. This is entry number 108. 108 is actually an interesting number for me. And an odd coincidence, in fact, because I was just looking at apartments to rent that were literally right across the street from a place that I once really loved in Hollywood. You see, I lived at, well, I won't give out the exact address, but I lived very close to Hollywood Boulevard. And the apartment or the condo number of our unit was 108. And I lived there for almost 5 years, actually a little over 5 years. And then I moved out, and there was a magical time there when I first moved in. It was a beautiful, beautiful condo, really deep cherry wood floors, but really dark, not like that, crappy executive veneer cherry that I remember so much from the 90s. When we moved into this apartment, I got kind of the say of what it was going to look like. My aunt just kind of put that into my hands. That is where my aunt definitely excels, knowing it's not that she doesn't have good taste or anything like that, but it is a matter of she understood that I was born to do this. There's an artistic bone inside of me. And I swear I'm not talking about my penis, but that's what that sounds like, right? An artistic bone. God damn. Anyway, starting this off with a bang, but I got to go in and I got to decorate this place whatever way I wanted. And so I decided we're going gray. We are painting the walls, not a light shade of gray, mind you, a deep shade of gray. We are going gray. We're going gray in the halls. We're going gray everywhere so that when we introduce color, it really, really is vibrant and a little pop of color. But that's what I did. And I wanted to incorporate other elements. I wanted to have kind of a mood. I wanted the place to feel, like it was out of a noir. My bedroom was probably the piece de la resistance because that's where I spent the most time. And I put a lot of passion and love into the entire condo. But my room, I really, really went the extra mile. It wasn't very big. I was very limited in, and how much I could do in that room, but I used it to the maximum capacity that I could actually fill it. And it was a gorgeous, gorgeous room. I did things to that room that I could go to jail. No, I had waited so long in my life to have a place like that and to, be able to really do something incredible. I had the resources to do it, and then that's what ended up happening. It was a delight. I loved this room. I loved the apartment. I loved the neighborhood. I loved where we were. I felt so alive. It was electric. I wasn't poor. I was in a good place. I got to have a place that really reflected me. It really, really does suck that around 2016, everything just kind of went to hell. And I blame myself for that because there could have been ways to have avoided that. it wasn't that I needed to stay there forever, but I really, really do wish that I had been able to get my life together at that point. I just lost focus. I lost direction. I was so busy having fun that I forgot that there are things that I want to do in this world. There are things that I have to do. And I really wish that I had stood up to my aunt when she was bullying me. You know, she got to a point where it would have been best for her just to say exactly how she felt, exactly what she wanted. And instead I felt manipulated. And in that's where the bullying came into place. And I felt forced to be there. I felt forced to, serve her beck and call. And I shouldn't have, and I should have recognized that the times were changing. My role in her life was changing. I was no longer a pseudo caretaker / support buddy, right? Essentially, I was a glorified support animal, and things were changing. She started going back to church more, and her attitude shifted. She got angrier. She was much angrier at me because I just wasn't around in her life the way that she wanted. She wanted someone there to be her friend, and it's a tendency that unfortunately I've had to be very careful around. But, you got to be very careful when people buy your loyalty, buy your time. And that's what I felt like being there was I was being bought. Apparently I had a price and I was willing to sell myself for that. That was a real ugly feeling. I didn't feel good about myself. I completely just let myself go to hell. I don't know. I stopped really taking care of myself mentally too. Just didn't really care anymore. And it wasn't like it all happened in one day. It wasn't like, I just fell into a depression and all fell apart. But it was a gradual descent. And I mean, it's so sad to think about when I moved into my own first apartment after that in 2017, the following year, October, right before my birthday. It was definitely a huge change in the apartment that we had lived in before, or, with my aunt anyway. I mean, that was a brand new condo building that was built in like 2007. I was moving into an apartment that was probably 100 years old. I mean, this thing was very, very old, very creaky, but it was mine. And when I got finished with it, it was a beautiful apartment, just like I had done before. I had done a lot to it. I had added my own personality to it. But as much as I tried to do to that apartment to make it home, I was mentally fucked. I was just still not in the place that I needed to be. And so I drank myself into oblivion. I took whatever drugs I could get my hands on. Usually, nothing street grade, mind you. I'm talking about pharmaceuticals, right? Which, still, I mean, it was just me trying to escape, me constantly wanting to get the fuck away from my life. I was unhappy. I didn't know how to get happy again. And that is a battle I have fought ever since. Even throughout this entire move back down here to Orange County, that's one thing I've been asking. What is it going to take for me to actually feel happy and contentment? I know happiness isn't a feeling that you can have all the time, but it should be something that you have occasionally. Contentment is something that you should feel from what you do, from how you live your life, from your choices. And I haven't felt that in a long time either. I felt at a loss, just drifting through this world. Like, where do I go? What do I do from here? And being down here in Orange County, it's given me the ability to at least confront a few demons, confront my family. This past week, I finally decided after being here for 2 months that, I can't just live in the closet constantly and wait for myself to move out before I can really embrace my identity again. That's a real bad idea. I knew that moving in, but I thought, you know what? I just can't handle this right now because it's too heavy of a weight. I'm already dealing with too much from where I'm coming from. I can't handle this too. But somewhere along the way, I forgot what I really can handle. And I also realized that the reason that I only felt that way is just because I was running away from my problems. I was running away from conflict. I mean, no more running. I don't want to run away from anything. I want to run into something. I want to be reckless, but I want to be reckless at least knowing that I'm going the right direction. You know, there is something that really captures my imagination with the term reckless abandon. And I feel like that's where I am right now. I have lost so much in my life. And I am so irreconcilably bored constantly. You know, I actually, for a moment, considered moving down here to Orange County. I don't mean with my family. I meant because even though I'm here right now, there's still part of me that is convinced that I am still an Angelino, right? I am not a resident of Orange County. This is a layover until my next destination in LA or wherever I might actually end up going, though it's probably LA. But I had looked for a moment, and I was thinking, you know, there's this really nice area of Orange County called Old Town Orange. It's right next to Chapman University. I've spent a lot of time there since I've been here, and it has been a really nice little place to retreat to. It reminds me of Magnolia in Burbank. So at Magnolia, that's Old Town Burbank, actually, so it makes sense. But it's a lot of vintage shops. It's about 2 or 3 miles of stretch of just these really cool independent shops that are awesome. Love being there. Old Town Orange here was very much the same way. And I started seeing listings for apartments and everything, and I was like, you know, maybe I should stick around here, right? You know, and it's closer to family. It's closer to where I am right now. I mean, what do I really even have to return to in LA? You know, maybe being in a smaller pond for a little while instead of returning to the ocean that is LA, maybe that would be good for me. And I contemplated that. And I mean, I kind of sold myself on the idea, to be honest. I don't want to be down here in Orange County. I mean, in general, Orange County is a very conservative place. And it's not that people can't be good here, but it is boring, and I don't need more boredom. I mean, I struggle, even as things are starting to reopen here. Like, I'm sitting across from a movie theater right now that literally is open, and I could go in there with no audience and sit and enjoy some movie. That, to me, is just not appealing, and also, really, I mean, you know, there's so much at play with all of this. I just realized today, in fact, that I can't do this. I can't stay here. I can't pretend like, oh, you know, I can be happy here in Orange. No, because my happiness isn't here. The thing that's going to make me feel alive and fulfilled and contentment isn't here. And, you know, it's a very strong possibility that it isn't LA either. I have bitched and complained about LA for so long, but now that I'm gone, it's the only place that I want to be. So it may not be really the ultimate place where I end up going, but it is where I'm going in the meantime. Today I just made a ton of scheduled viewings and stacked them. You know, most of them are going to be digital. I have another day where there's a few actual showings that I can go and look at the place themselves. And I went back to my little neighborhood that I just described with the Unit 108. To my surprise, right across the street from my old condo is an apartment building that I I pulled out in front of 1,000 times and never really paid it any mind. Wasn't ugly or anything like that. Just that's not where I lived. Apparently, there are units from studios to 2 bedrooms that are really affordable. And from what I've seen, they're really nice. I was very, very surprised to see that. But it was almost like the universe was telling me something. Go home. Go to your real home. I haven't felt at home since I left that condo. And it's not because of the place itself. It was me. I left myself there. And I've been trying to figure out, where did I go? Like, what happened? Well, that's what happened. I left myself behind. I didn't just leave a condo. I abandoned myself. The person who has all these abandonment issues abandons themselves. There was something I started there that needs to be finished. I need to go back and I need to go pick up the pieces. It's not about figuring out where I went wrong anymore. I realize that is going to be an endless search with answers I'm never going to be happy about. I mean, I know it's always good to know where you went wrong so you don't make the mistakes again. But I've been doing that for so long that I'm not living anymore. I'm not doing anything. So I would rather stumble into the mistake the next time I make it and then determine that this is where you fucked up before. This is where you fucked up now. Don't do this again. I want to return home. And it's not here. And as I said, maybe it's not there either. But I feel like it's the best starting place for me. With COVID-19, the world is shut down. We've been shut down for going on almost a year. I mean, not quite. But the duration of this year for sure. We're dealing with so much in this country. We're dealing with a lot of incompetency, but all of that has led to us putting our lives on hold. Some of us have done okay jobs managing that, managing expectations, figuring out a way to thrive and move forward. But there's a lot of us, myself included, that have not figured that out, who have been stumbling along, lost in a place, in a state of arrested development, unable to grow, unable to live life, to feel alive, to feel like there's a purpose, even to have basic hope. What can you have hope for when you're limited to the 4 walls of your home? For me, I don't even have that luxury. I haven't had that now for a couple of months. The place that I stay, I am surrounded by people who do love me. But I'm not surrounded by the people who can help me get to the next step, the next stage in my life. I know for a fact, it has been said now numerous times, that my family would prefer that I stay in Orange County. And there was that part of me that I think when I was thinking about Orange, it wasn't necessarily a deciding factor, but it was a consideration. Well, make them happy. But I feel this very strongly. And this is something that I can't ignore, something that I can't bullshit my way through, or something that I have to confront dead on. I've always relied on people around me to lean on when I needed help. That's not a bad thing. We all need help. But unfortunately, I've seen time and time again that those people that I lean on become a crutch. And I'm not leaning on them for support. I'm holding on to them as they drag me forward, which really isn't progress. It doesn't mean that I'm a worthless piece of shit who doesn't help anyone, who is a weight or an anchor on people, even though that's exactly the way that I just described myself. But I am talking at least emotionally in that way. That is the way that I've been. It's not me leaning on people to cover, my responsibilities or do things like that. But when it comes to my emotional baggage, I've always had someone around to pat me on the back, to give me a hug, to tell me it's okay. And also, it's been kind of a security blanket of being able to know that, hey, I'm in a city with people that I know, so I'm never really alone. And I feel like in my entire life, I've never really been alone. But that is the problem. Sure, I was alone technically in LA, for, February on for a little while, but I wasn't doing what I needed to do. I wasn't embracing the fact that I was alone. I was deluding myself that, no, I'm not really alone. There is something to be cherished, and I understand this now, in a place where I can't really ever be alone, that I need to embrace the loneliness. I don't mean the despair. I mean, that's what you always associate with loneliness, right? Is, oh, you're so alone and everything is so sad because you're going through this world with... No, I don't mean that. I mean the actual state of, I am by myself, and that's enough. I mean, when was the last time that I looked at myself and thought, I'm enough? I don't need someone around to get the party started for me. Hell, I talk to myself all the time. I'm fucking endlessly entertaining. And I'm ballsy as fuck when I want to be. So guess what? Just because I don't feel that way all the time doesn't mean that it's not a reality. It just means that my brain isn't accepting a truth about myself. I'm ready to step out into the world and be naked and afraid and have no one to turn to. Because in the middle of everything being so mundane, so lifeless, the one thing that I know will get me excited is fear. And not running from fear, but facing it. I am not a coward. I never have been. I never will be. But lately, I feel like I have been acting like one. An unrecognizable husk of myself that just I'm not happy with. And, I have beat myself down. I have pulled myself apart. I have tried to correct myself and snap myself into shape and do all of these things, and none of these things have really worked. So I feel like it's time to start and do something completely different. The reality is, too, I look at my career and I just see so much lost time. I mean, this has been a complaint of mine, in a lot of different ways, and me settling because I end up finding something that I end up, doing well at. Do I love it? Sometimes no, sometimes a little. But there were things that I abandoned long ago. One of those things that I still feel bad about, that I still feel like, wow, what the hell happened? I had a story called Cohorts with my characters, the Bowler, or Bailey Barker as he's also known, and Eliza Dimes Dixon, and what is her name now? Penny Rowe. I changed her last name somewhere along the way. But I feel really, really stupid for ever letting that go. I feel really, really stupid for not trying to do more photo shoots. I mean, right now it's even more difficult with my family all around, but does it mean that I couldn't go do something, that I could just put the stuff in the car, find some place to go do a shoot, get a hotel room somewhere? But, in the last couple of months, I just found myself languishing, determined, I'm going to put together enough money and get out of here, but not really looking at new places. I don't know. I really did just kind of indulge that hopelessness for too long. And then I just have this stupid belief that pops into my head, this outlook of myself that just doesn't see a person who can, you can't live on your own. You can't go get your own apartment. I mean, you've done these things before, technically, but you had a lot of help, and you don't have that help now. I am so ready to go fail on my own. Because at least if I go fail, I tried. And if I happen to succeed, well, that's great. But I'm really, really done living life in defeat. Just accepted defeat. If I try and I'm defeated, then that's one thing. Or I get defeated in a matter, that's one thing. But just to sit here and do nothing, just get old. I'm tired of getting old. I'm tired of living in the memories of my past, wondering when things will get better. I mean, we just don't have to accept this. It's not that we run away from the realities that, our lives are impacted. But we don't have to accept our current circumstances if we're not happy with them. I don't know about you, but I'm not happy with mine. There are many things that can be done about it. Hell, with this election coming up, there's something we can do about that too. But we elect presidents and we expect things to change and they don't. Because it really depends on us changing ourselves. If we change, that change is infectious. That change connects us to one another. And then that's what causes the world to actually change. It's never from the top down. It's not trickle down change. It always starts at the lowest level, at us, at the foundations. That's where it all starts. We want to make a better world. We start with ourselves. And then we move on from there. It all starts selfishly. But then the point is to be more selfless as we figure out our own shit, as we help others figure out their own shit. So that is what I am currently doing. This isn't going to be a very long episode of the podcast. I'm actually going to wrap this up. But I just feel like electricity is crackling through my brain. A focus that went away long ago. Fire, anger, and passion all revived. You know, it almost has religious roots in my life, but probably more so in the anger of being forced to be a part of religion. So that's the religious roots. But it is a holy fire, for a lack of a better term, that I feel ignited on the inside of myself. And I'm ready to change things. I'm ready to change myself in a real way, in a real meaningful way. So now, with a goal in mind, I'm going to get my shit together. I'm going to move out of Orange County as soon as I possibly can. Give me a lot of good vibes, because I'm hoping that my unemployment situation finally gets resolved. I've been dealing with that since the beginning of the year. Haven't collected a dime, but things may have changed finally after I got a little bit of help and some assistance from someone at EDD, the unemployment department. I might actually be getting my money. And if I do, I'll be collecting back months on what I'm owed as well. And right now, I can't tell you what a huge life-changing thing that could be for me. And that makes me very excited. Plus, I have some grants that I applied for that's looking good. And who the hell knows if we'll ever get any more stimulus money. I am working again. I'm not happy with the job, but it is, again, something that I can do on the side that can sustain me, and something that actually has greatly changed, because now I don't have to travel down here to Orange County every week. But I'm going through some changes. I'm doing some things. I'm making some massive, major moves in my life. And I hope this encourages you that you just don't have to accept whatever life's throwing at you right now. You don't have to accept the place that you've been placed in. You know, years ago, I didn't like the fact that I always seemed to be the butt of the joke to my friends. And you know what I did? I stopped being friends with those people. I decided that it wasn't something that I could change about them, that they were inherently just garbage people. I know, if any of them are listening to that, yeah, I'm sorry, I think you're at least then you were definitely garbage people. That had a lot to do with your religious intolerance and all your other bigotry and bullshit. But I just became a punching bag. They probably wouldn't have seen it that way, but they were constantly just using me as the butt of a joke. You know? But I decided that that's not who I am. I don't have to accept that. I don't have to be what they say I am. You know? And I changed my life. I got away from them. I spent a little time alone. Which is why I remember now, this is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. Being alone strips away all the things that you project when you're around other people. The things that maybe you don't even mean to or even know that you're doing. But it takes all that away and brings you back down to your base. So anyway, I thought I would share that with you. I appreciate you. I love you all. And I'm going to leave you like I always do. Stay extraordinary and escape the ordinary. Goodbye, everybody.
This concludes this entry of the EleAMental podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, head over to houseofel.com to gain access to our show notes, additional podcasts, the photo diary, and more. If you're feeling financially benevolent and would like to support this podcast, go to patreon.com/lnichols, and for as little as $1 per entry, you'll get an ad-free version of this podcast, patron-only monthly live stream Q&As, and Elle's everlasting gratitude. Music was provided by Damn The With Siren, featuring the songs Big Mouth and Soft and Blue. All music was used with the artist's permission. If you want to hear more of their incredible music, go to damnthewitchsiren.com. For inquiries, questions, or last letters, email info@elnichols.com or visit the contact page at houseofl.com. The EleAMental podcast is a subsidiary of House of L. Copyright 2019, all rights reserved.